cousin. I'm sorry. I have a cousin named Rob. And shortly after I came out to him, he overheard people making jokes about trans people at his job. And you know what he did? He told those workers to get the fuck up. He told them to shut the fuck up. And that's what you need to do. Because if we tell everyone in our lives that we exist, then that's one more person they know that they will not let others fuck with. I don't have much else to say other than that I'm scared. I'm scared after this weekend. I'm scared. Everything is wrong here. It feels like we've entered hell. And the only thing we have left to do is to scream as loud as we can and fight as hard as we can and stand up to this, because we're going to win. I know this. We are going to win this! And however dark it looks right now, we have to persevere. Thank you. Thank you, Roxy! I know you said this is your first time up here doing this. This is also my first time. Next, we have Noah from Red Blue.
Hey, I'm Noah. I'm a trans guy, he, him. Wanted to say a little something about trans community and what we've built for ourselves. The history of the gender binary is the history of trans resistance to it. We've built lives for ourselves outside of the boxes they've built for us. We've built networks of support in defiance to the system of capitalism that pits us against each other. We've helped each other navigate doctors and courts, shared hormones, fashion tips, and coming out advice. We've built chosen families when our birth parents let us down. We give birth to ourselves and each other every day. We exist outside of the state and beyond cis imaginations. We'll fight back at every step against the Trump administration and the capitalist system that got us here. We stand in solidarity with our queer and trans siblings around the world and with the international working class against fascism. When we care for one another, we build the groundwork for a new world. A world organized around human need instead of corporate profit. A world with 1 million genders and no gender. A world where we're all free. They can try to erase us, but they can never tear down what we've built. Thank you.
I believe that we will win. 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 I believe that we will win.
I believe that we will win.
Next, we have Oliver from Trans Lifeline. Glad this is here. I'm quite short. Hi, my name is Oliver. I work for Trans Lifeline. How many of you know about Trans Lifeline? Good turnout, good turnout. For those who don't, Trans Lifeline is a national organization run by trans people for trans people. We're dedicated to fighting the epidemic of trans suicide and improving overall life outcomes by facilitating justice-oriented, collective community aid. We started back in 2014 as a peer-to-peer crisis hotline. The hotline was, and still is, the only service in the country in which all of the operators are transgender. We at Trans Lifeline understand how difficult it can be to get the help you need when the people we're supposed to rely on, our family, our friends, doctors, policemen, and our governments, are only focusing on our bodies, perpetuating myths that we're dangerous, don't believe in our existence, and actively try to erase us. Because of the particularly vulnerable relationship that trans people have with the police, We are also the only service in the country with a policy against non-consensual active rescue, meaning we will not call the cops on you without your consent. We have also recently expanded to add a hotline for cisgender significant others, friends, and families, so we can help educate our allies and help them support their trans loved ones. In addition to our hotline, we offer microgrants for gender marker and name changes. Identity documents are needed in everyday parts of life. Working, voting, traveling, accessing government institutions, and proving that one is who they claim to be. Yet for our community, accessing this basic proof of identity is out of reach, pushing us further into the margins of society. This memo brings forth the possibility that our already inaccessible legal system will become wholly inaccessible for trans people and subsequently endanger our lives. For many trans individuals, particularly for those living at the intersection of being trans along with another marginalized identity, accessing legal assistance is essential. Having correct documentation can literally be the difference between life and death, yet it is unfathomably difficult to change your identification. Microgrants exist to make this process easier. We will help you identify the steps to take your documents reflect who you truly are, and we will provide financial assistance to help change them. We want to help trans people live their lives, live happily, and live their truths. Though this may seem reasonable, our calls have furthered our understanding of how difficult this goal is to achieve, and the severity of the systematic turmoil that our community faces. Since 2014, our operators have answered more than 55,000 calls from trans and gender non-conforming people in crisis, and $17,000 in funds have been dispersed to people who could not afford to change their documents on their own. Great, right? The sheer number of calls that we experience daily show us how much we need each other after every hostile attack on our community. On October 22nd, 2017, we received 187 calls from people in crisis. 1 year later, October 22nd, the day that we learned about the memo, we received 471. That's a 250% increase. Not only that, but in the last week, we've received 4 times as many applications for microgrants as the week before the memo was released. With every application, we know that on the other end is a trans person fearing that they will not be recognized by their government come next spring. With every call, we hear your hopelessness and your worries for the future. There's no denying that this landscape is bad, that the landscape in this country looks bad. But we've seen bad before. Our community is made up by survivors, and we are defined by our resilience. Every day at Trans Lifeline, we speak to those very survivors who, in the face of bigotry and seemingly endless barriers, insist on holding on, if only for a day at a time. Our insistence on living our lives is our radical advocacy, and we are not backing it down.
Right.
When times get tough, do we stay home? No, we show up. That's exactly what we've been seeing. The landscape looks bad, yes, but our communities and our allies are not letting us down. We are rallying and we are standing in solidarity. For us, the sounds of phones ringing off the hook is a cause for hope. The administration is trying to erase us, but we are here and we are reaching out and we are strong and we are visible.
That's right.
When we hear those phones ringing, we hear you fighting for your lives. We are here to fight with you. To our beloved trans community, we see you. You and your experiences are real. You are who you say you are. You are valid and you are beautiful. Keep in mind that it is completely normal for your emotions, whatever they are, to be a little bit closer to the surface in this time. But you don't have to face them alone. If you're struggling, if you're in crisis, please call us. 877-565-8860. We need your help more now than ever. If you're feeling stuck and helpless and you want to be present and help those who are struggling the most in our communities, please consider signing up to be a volunteer operator. To our cis allies, we need you. We need you to speak up when those conversations erase or invalidate trans experiences. We need you to check in with your trans friends about what the kinds of support they need. And today, we need you to ensure that when a trans person reaches out to us, we are able to reach back. Help us keep our services open to everyone who needs them. You can learn more at translifeline.org. I'll have some more flyers and info. So Folks, times are hard, but don't give up hope. Stand up, resist, and give to those community organizations that are fighting for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Oliver. I want to draw your attention to the art here behind me. Yesterday we had an art build to highlight the writings of trans activists or writings about trans people. As it was mentioned earlier, the Nazi Party prior to World War II destroyed a lot of research about gender, and we wanted to highlight what we have that shows our history, our stories, and definitively says we won't be erased. Next, we have Emily and 2 gender non-conforming children.
So bear with me, this is my second time maybe advocating, but never in front of such a large group. So hi everybody, my name is Emily Grote. Thank you. And I am the proud parent of 3 kids, 2 of which are gender non-conforming. The recent actions of this administration is almost too heinous for me to get my head around. Especially since as a mom, I'm simply trying to manage our day-to-day, much less deal with the dire political implications. Some of the day-to-day frustration is that of well-meaning people who would applaud me and my courage for loving and accepting my kids. Let me say boldly, it requires exactly 0 courage to love my children. They are my pride and my joy. What parenting does require is resolve. Resolve to confront our elementary school principal who sought to deny my kids civil rights. Resolve to push back and educate our primary care physician who sought to delegitimize my child. Resolve to educate a judge who hesitated to grant my child a name change when I was seeking to protect my child's identity. I wouldn't have this resolve without the love, support, and community of my fellow PFLAG parents. I know with my entire heart that we parents owe an enormous debt of gratitude to the trans and gender non-conforming people who through history and here today, with their audacity, strength, and courage to be who they are, my family owes you an enormous thank you. To that end, what I urge every cis ally here to do today is to get in front, to speak up, to never let an instance of ignorance go unchecked. Give to trans folks through crowdfunding sites. There is so much need. Demand your legislator pass the New York State Senate Bill S-502, known as GENDA, which prohibits discrimination based on gender identity and expression in New York State. Support the good work of the Trans United Fund, the National Center for Transgender Equality, and PFLAG, and other organizations of the like. And finally, for me, life feels like it goes at warp speed. Just a few minutes ago, we were celebrating marriage equality and saw the White House bathed in rainbow lights. This administration is making a cynical attempt to whip up their base before the midterms. So get out and vote. And keep a vision for the future in which the White House is again bathed in colors, this time pink, white, and blue. Thank you.
Thank you. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. Party for Socialism and Liberation.
When trans rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
When trans rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back!
My name is Selena. I'm a candidate member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. As an Amber Indigenous trans woman, I know all too well the cruel and inhumane ways that legislation like the Trump administration has consistently tried to implement affects people like me. As a trans woman of color, I know how hard we are hit, and harder still if we are an immigrant. I have been discriminated against, fired for being trans, and I have had to deal with harassment on the street by men emboldened by anti-trans rhetoric and legislation. I have had police mistreat me simply for being a trans woman of color. I am here to fight against the further oppression of my people. Because until every single person is free, no one is free. Are you with me? Are you with me? We are here to fight back because trans communities are under attack. We are here to fight back because we're tired of watching our siblings die at the hands of police, colorist misogyny, racism, and sexism. This year alone, 25 trans people have been killed, 25 of them trans people of color. We are here to fight against the life expectancy of trans women only being 34 years of life. We are here to fight back because we're tired of being humiliated and dehumanized when we try to access quality health care and freedom to live out our true lives, true to who we are at our core. We are here to fight back against heteronormative, classist, racist, white supremacy. We are here to fight back because for years, far-right elements in the Republican Party have used the trans community as a punching bag. We are here because legislations like this not only further disenfranchise us, but it emboldens bigots and promotes hate. Trans, intersex, and the broader progressive community across the U.S. are understandably disgusted by the news of the memo, which presents a clear and extreme threat of defining trans people out of existence in the hopes that we will cease to exist. At a time when the health care of millions of poor people is under threat, the Trump administration wants to redirect attention and anger towards the non-existent threat of trans people or the Central American, Amber Indigenous, and Afro-Latino migrant caravan. We cannot stand for this. Enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough!
Despite many attacks, the trans community has persevered, attracting wider support and visibility. We have won important legal victories against discrimination and regulatory recognition of people's rights to assert their own gender. While protective legislations are not enough to guarantee the safety or to allow trans, two-spirit, non-binary people to thrive, it does humanize us. The Trump administration is attempting in one fell swoop to undercut these gains. The right-wing transphobes think they're clever, but they're wrong. The People's United can defeat this measure by fighting back. The trans community and its supporters are not going away. We have been here. They cannot erase what is naturally existing. Trans rights, like the rights of all oppressed people, will be won in the streets. We won't be waiting for disingenuous and phony resistance from political talking heads. We struggle because we know that ultimately the system that exploits us and oppresses us, capitalism, cannot be reformed. No oppressed person can truly be free when a few people at the top exploit the work of many. No oppressed person can be free while trans people face employment discrimination, housing discrimination, violence, and police brutality at higher rates than most people. But how do we win against capitalism? How do we defeat a system that creates inequality, sexism, racism, and class society? We start by giving everyone a voice and a place in the struggle for a new society. A system based on cooperation, planning for the needs of the people and the planet, and eliminating oppression. This system is socialism, and I invite you all to struggle with us in sincere and honest unity as we demand trans rights. But more than that, we demand trans liberation. We demand the guaranteed right to present and identify ourselves and love whomever we please. We demand the freedom to be who we are. And we demand a system that guarantees trans liberation and the liberation of all oppressed people. We demand an end to capitalist oppression. Enough with capitalism. We demand socialism. I have one last sentence I want to share to all of my trans, non-binary, and two-spirit people. I love you.
Thank you, Selena. We love you too. And that's what we're here for tonight. To show that we are going to love and support one another. We have nothing to lose but our chains. And now I'm going to invite everyone who has a banner or a book shield to come to the front of the rally. We are going to be preparing to march momentarily, so we're going to be moving out that way, right? And I'm going to pass it off to Sophia.
Thank you.
Woo! Yes, another hand for Olivia. Amazing sharing. All right, y'all. So the goal of today's march is to get safely and loudly to Grand Central. So in order to accomplish that, what we're going to do is we're going to be walking that way down 23rd, and we're going to want folks with the book blocks and the banners to be in front. Everybody else should be marching behind them. We will be chanting. We will be staying on the sidewalk. We want to keep everybody in our groups safe, so please look out for each other. There are marshals. They have red bands around their arms, so if you have any questions or issues, you should look around for them. And I think that's it. Thank you all for coming out. This is amazing. We're all going to be marching that way. And then we're going to be marching up to Grand Central. Woo!
Alright guys, what's going on? Didn't get a chance to do an intro because the rally had already started before I got here. So for a little bit of context for people who are not familiar, recently there was a memo leaked by the Department of Health. I forgot the full name of the organization, but a government department leaked a memo about redefining what gender or sex is in concern to the rights. So if legislation is passed based upon the writings in this memo, the trans community would be targeted, and so this is why the rally is started. As you can see, I'm going to give you guys a glimpse. I would say it's a few hundred, definitely a few hundred people out here. So for those who are not necessarily familiar, I haven't done too many protests or rallies in a while, but when I did first start live streaming, I started out live streaming protests. Protests is how I actually got good at photography so quickly. trying to keep an eye. So the thing when you're covering rallies and protests is to make sure that I'm safe and be aware of anything going on so that I don't get hurt or arrested.
No justice!
We have a huge police presence out here. Part of the reason why there's such a huge police presence is to make sure that no one's hurt. Also, that the protest doesn't get out of control and start blocking traffic. And if anything happens, as if counter protesters or someone who doesn't agree with the message here decides to attack the activists and protesters here, that they'll be able to protect individuals. Now, I'm not looking at the comments. I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on around me. As you can see, there's a lot of people out here. So I'm not going to pay attention too much to the comment section until I feel I'm in a safe place to take my eyes off of what's going on around me. I'm going to turn the camera on.
Stand up, fight back! 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 Trans lives are under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
Y'all are gonna go this way.
What's going on?
United will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. 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 The people united will never be defeated. 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 What do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. And when do we want it? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. I said, what do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. If we don't get it, shut it down. 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 I said, what do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. And what do we want? Justice. And when do we want it? Now. And if we don't get it, shut it down. 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 3, 2, get it. Shut it down. 3, 2, get it. Shut it down. Woo! When queer folks are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When trans folks are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When civil rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. When queer folks are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When trans folks are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When civil rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. And what do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. When folks are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When trans folks are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When civil rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. And what do we do? Stand up, fight back. And what do we do? Stand up, fight back. 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 We're trans, we're queer, we're fabulous, we're staying here. We're trans, we're queer, we're fabulous, we're staying here. We're trans, we're queer, we're fabulous, we're staying here. We're trans, we're queer, we're
protesters have tried to take the street, and
Transphobia's gotta go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Transphobia's gotta go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Transphobia's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Transphobia's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Transphobia's gotta 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 go. We have power, we have pride, LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride, LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride, LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride, LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride, LGBT side by side. We have power, we have LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride. LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride. LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride. LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride. LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride. LGBT side by side. We have power, we have pride. LGBT
Alright guys, so I've been reading some of the comments. I don't know if you guys can actually hear me, but I'm looking at the comments. I'm kind of reading everything you guys are saying. One of the last comments I seen was, which organization owns the yellow signs? And that organization is the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Like right next to the speaker, so it's a little hard. So one, I don't want to be misinformed. Me operating in the capacity of a journalist, is important to make sure that I'm truthful. From my understanding and some of the literature that I've read and some of the notes from the organizations that put this together, there was a memo leaked by the Department of Health, and I forget the last part, Health and something, but it's a government institute released. There was a leaked memo, and in that memo it said that they would be redefining what sex and gender is. And because of that, the organizations here feel that it's targeting the rights, the civil rights of the trans community. And this is why they've marched today.
Stand up, fight back! What do we do? 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 Stand up, fight back! 1, 2, 3, stand up, fight back! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! When trans rights are under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! 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 We're queer right there under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I have my iPad here while I'm live streaming, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get some of the names of the organizations for you guys. Alright, finally I can get some separation from the protests so you guys can hear me better. So I'm checking my iPad, and I'm gonna go into the event page so I can give you guys some of the information. Some of the organizations that put this together. Off the top of my head, I'm familiar with DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. I believe is the main organizer, but I'm going to go into my iPad and figure out some of the others. I think there's about maybe 8 or 9 others. So give me a moment. They're marching up to Grand Central Terminal, so I got some time. It's a little bit of a walk, but I'm going to go and pull up the event page. See, I'm pulling it up now so that you guys can see. I don't know how well it's going to show up on camera, but this is the event page for the march and rally.
We're
Democratic Socialists of America, International Socialist Organization, International Women's Strike, National Women's Liberation, Party of Socialism and Liberation, Socialist Alternative, New York City for Abortion and Rights, Red Bloom, Socialist Action, Freedom Socialist Party, and Radical Women and the Left Voice are the organizations. I didn't want to leave. But anybody who's interested, if you want the Facebook page, you can hit me up on Twitter, and I'll give you a link to the page so you can get the names of the organizations that put this together.
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations. It was about maybe 9 or 10.
I appreciate all the positive comments in the comment section. Me, I'm just a regular guy. I didn't go to school for journalism, so I don't have all these rules and ethics that I was kind of banged into my head when it comes to journalism. I'm just a photographer. I have press credentials, so I am officially a registered journalist. But I take it from a perspective of documenting, and you get to determine how you feel about whatever I'm shooting. I don't try to put a spin on it. I have my own personal beliefs, but it's irrelevant to me doing my job here. You guys get to see what's going on, and you make your own determination. Well, as far as free speech, it's a political scope, so I'm not going to go in the same way how I expect, like the officers here. I believe that they should respect my freedom of press. I also, in this chat, as long as it's not overboard, I'll let you guys say whatever you want based upon the chat. This is a political scope, it's news, so I'm not going to go and monitor the chat and start banning people. Unless people start threatening people, that's going overboard and I'll ban you for that. But I'm not going to block you for not agreeing with what I'm showing you. That's kind of overboard. In my normal, regular scopes, if you have something negative to say, like I protest hip-hop and art scopes and open mics. If you have negative things to say during something that's art and community-based, then yeah, I'll block you. But there's no need for me to block you when it's news. Everybody does have a right to see what's going on. But if you come into one of my regular scopes and you're being disrespectful, I'm blocking you right out the gate.
Resistance is justified. justified when people are occupied. Resistance is justified when people are occupied. Resistance is justified when people are occupied. It's justified when people It's a human right, not just for the rich and white. Healthcare is a human right, not just for the rich and white. Healthcare is a human right, not just for the rich and white. Healthcare is a human right, not just for the rich and white. Healthcare is a human right, not just for the rich and white. Healthcare is a human right, not just for the rich and white. Healthcare is a human right, not just for the rich and white. Healthcare is a human right, not just for the rich and white. Healthcare is a human right, not just for the rich and white.
So we got about 10 more blocks. We're on 32nd Street now. It's going to get a little bit hectic as far as tourists and regular New York City, you know, pedestrians walking through the city, as well as the protests blocking up. So yeah, it may get a little bit hectic. There may be some, hopefully not. Hopefully there isn't any violence breakout at this protest, or anybody doesn't try to attack the protesters. But when you get into like major areas where there are a lot of pedestrians, some people just want to go home, and then usually there's some conflict. So hopefully this is it remains a peaceful protest, and no one engages with the protesters, and it'll be good for footage, but you never really want to see people getting hurt. And we got about 10 more blocks before they reach Grand Central. Looks like we're just going to head straight down. But there is a chance they may go into the shopping centers. If they do go into the shopping center, then there's a good chance you might run into some friction.
Manifestações.
So I noticed we have about 48 people in the chat now. So I'm gonna go and give you the memo. I went back to the Facebook event page, and I'm gonna give you the memo that stirred up this protest. And let me get back to it. I'm a little slow because I got gloves on. It's a little cold in New York City. Where is it? All right. So here we go. I got it. Department of Health and Human Services memo. So it was a memo was leaked from the Department of Health and Human Services that seek to redefine sex in federal law as a person's status as male or female based upon immutable biological traits identifiable by and before birth. This definition would deny transgendered protection under federal civil rights that prohibits discrimination on basis of sex. The proposal would limit equal access to healthcare, housing, education, fair treatment under citizenship and immigration status, and the ability to travel freely. So, because of this, they feel that their rights will be limited, if not recognized at all. And part of it is to make sure that there's no bills that are passed. There is an awareness to make sure no bills are passed that would limit their rights as trans individuals. So D. Lee, I see you. You said, can someone catch you up? What do you need to be caught up on? Are you not familiar with what's going on legally, or you don't know what the protest is? You're looking for context? All right, so there's a memo that was leaked recently from the Trump administration, the Department of Health and Human Services. There's a memo leak. I actually just read it a couple minutes ago, and I forgot most of what it said verbatim. But according to the memo, they're going to redefine sex as it pertains to federal law. So the transgender community feels that if this memo is a hint towards future policies that will be enacted by the Trump administration, it will limit their rights as transgendered individuals. And so because of that, they're out here trying to raise awareness and have allies show political support. If any bills or any legislation is passed that would allow for this limitation, it would limit immigration status, travel status, health services. It would affect them dramatically because in certain states they can legally change their status as far as gender, but federally it would not be recognized. And because of that, it would create some issues when it comes to health services, travel, passports. It would limit them as far as their civil rights. The best way to describe it is it would be similar to the way California and Colorado, marijuana is legal there, but federally it is not legal. And so there's a gray area where the jurisdictions intersect as far as health coverage and benefits. They would be in a gray area where sometimes they would because the law doesn't reflect the same locally as it does federally, it would run into a lot of issues.
Transphobia has got to go. Hey, hey. Oh, well, transphobia has got to go.
I'm good. This side of the park, for some reason,
We're trans. We're queer.
Socialists, don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer. We're socialists, don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer. We're socialists, don't fuck with us. Justice. Now. Don't fuck with us. We're queer. We're socialists, don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer. We're socialists, don't fuck with us.
We're trans. We're queer.
We're socialists, don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer. We're socialists, don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer. We're socialists, don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer.
We're socialists. Don't fuck with us.
We're queer. Socialists, don't fuck with us.
We're trans. We're queer. We're socialists. Don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer. Don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer. We're socialists. Don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer. We're socialists. Don't fuck with us. We're trans. We're queer. Socialists. Don't fuck with us.
Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
Let's see if I can read some of the comments.
Stand up, fight back! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! Trans lives are under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back!
See, what do we have? We have F the trans, they are dumb, swearing and mocking people. It's not the way to go. Sorry.
Stand up, fight back! Trans lives are under attack! What do we do? Stand up, fight back! What do we do?
Socialists, so the state will pay for the wages. If you want the voice to be heard, head to Washington. We're socialists, idiots. Transracial. Transracial is not a thing. Yes, you mean Rachel Dolezal. Can you lead? Can you catch you later? My head's hurting. Issa, how come you're not chanting? I don't chant. I've never actually attended a protest as a protester. I've always attended protests as a journalist. I'm not going to go in too far in depth into my own personal beliefs, but if you know me, I believe in African principles. I'm also a student of the Black Panther Party. I'm a person who doesn't advocate for violence, and I believe in self-sustaining communities. So, me being a Southerner also, I have some conservative values. I don't like overreaching government. It's a few. I mean, it's a long conversation as far as why I'm not chanting. But the main reason why I'm not chanting is I'm not a participant in this protest. I'm simply documenting.
Thank you, D-Lee. Appreciate it. I love when other broadcasters come out and check out my scopes. I try to watch as many scopes as possible, but there's so many VIPs now that it's really hard to keep track, especially because there's a huge influx of new broadcasters. So it's really hard to kind of see who's new and keep track. And the Slack channel has become kind of all over the place. I don't know if you use the Slack channel, D-Lee, but it's a good way to find out who the new super broadcasters are. They actually started off with a rally, and their end point is Grand Central Terminal, and we are a couple blocks away from the entrance to the Grand Central Terminal. And unfortunately, I didn't bring my huge battery, so I have my small portable battery, and it's holding me down pretty good. I thought I might have to end the scope early because I didn't bring my usual battery. I forgot it before I ran out of the house, but I'm doing pretty good. I'm at like 67% right now, so I should be able to cover the entire protest. Well, you can't really hold up the train station. It's way too many. It's like so much empty space in Grand Central Terminal. It's not like they're jumping on the tracks. They're not jumping on the tracks to stop trains. So Grand Central Terminal is huge. It would take thousands and thousands of people to hold Grand Central Terminal hostage. Well, I haven't forgotten my battery in a while. It's been probably since last year is the last time I forgot my battery. I have a battery on me right now, which is the only reason why the scope is still going. But my main battery, which can charge my phone about 10 times, I don't have that with me. I was pissed when I reached into my bag before I started the scope and noticed that I didn't have it. I figured this scope would probably only be about 20 minutes, but I did have my backup. So we're actually coming to the end. That's Grand Central Terminal at the base of that building down there. So the scope will be in pretty soon. Thank you everyone. I see someone donated to my PayPal. If you would like to help support my broadcast, like the content, even if you disagree and you want to continue supporting, there's a link in my bio for my PayPal. Doesn't matter how much you donate. I do have a day job outside of my freelance journalism. Hopefully one of the major channels will decide to use some of my footage as soon as I get off and I start uploading clips. But if you feel like donating, the link is in my bio. Also, besides donating, way more important than donating is sharing the scope. So if there's any places that you have conversations about politics, you have conversations about the state of where our country is right now, and you want to use a reference, a source of references for whatever the political debates you have, this scope is one of them. You can go and show them footage. I'm not, as you can see, I'm totally neutral in my reporting. I don't put a spin on anything, and this could be a perfect reference for any debates that you have with other people
concerning what's going on with the country. Feel free to take the link and post it somewhere and spread the scopes. That's the best thing you can do, especially here with Periscope, is to share our scopes and get our scopes more coverage, more people discover the type of content, not just my content, but the music artists that are here on Periscope, the talk shows. We have some of my favorite broadcasters like Celeste the Therapist. So she does a regular scope. I think she maybe does it 2-3 times a week, where she talks about relationships. She talks about health, mental health, finance, just dealing with everyday issues. So there's a lot of content that's here on Scope, and if you want to help support outside of donating helps, but getting more people to see what we broadcast is always a lot better than donating. This is America. It's easy to make money, but getting people to see what type of content, discoverability is the biggest thing that helps us. So feel free to share to Twitter, retweet on Twitter, share to Google Plus, or wherever you like to have conversations about what's going on in the country. Please feel free to share the scopes. That's just for the body. The lens is different. This lens, I don't even know. I bought it for $500.
That's really expensive. Thank you.
Thank you.
New Haven passengers 801 to Danbury, 801 to Danbury, stop Greenwich. Train will be departing track 16.
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight.
Train will be departing Train will be departing.
In case you joined us during the march or here at the station, my name is Olivia Sinel, and I'm with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And we're here on behalf of the Feminist Rapid Response Network. Tonight, we are standing up for trans liberation. I'm going to lead us in a chair real quick. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and protect each other. We must love and protect each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Thank you. We have a few more speakers. The first speaker for the second portion of our evening is Baden from the ISO. Hello, I'm Baden from the ISO. Thank you for coming out here today. I've been so angry all week. I've been burning, I've been steaming. And I've been really looking forward to tonight for that reason. Thank you for sharing this with me. I've prepared some short remarks. I'm going to read them to you. And then we'll fucking yell some. Comrades, this has been a violent week. This has been a week that gripped me, that made me cry, that has shaken me with fear and panic, and which today, as I speak to you all, leaves me surging furious. They hate us. They want to kill us. They want to make us disappear. Trump is attempting to destroy any and all protections for trans people, and what's more, giving license to further hatred against our community. To the cops, to the bosses, and to the fascists. We say no! No! Today the far right poses a profound threat to the trans community. Institutional violence and personal violence, which mark our daily experience of marginalization, stands only to be intensified. And I am angry, and as I said, I am scared. And I'm scared because there's a lot for us to do. There's really one and only one option in front of us. And it's a large task for us to take up. That is to organize, to fight, and defend ourselves. The bigots and hate mongers, anti-worker, anti-trans, anti-immigrants, anti-Semite, and anti-black have captured the White House. They've captured the Supreme Court. In Brazil, they're on the verge of capturing the states. And they continue to organize to build their movement, with platforms and press, and the attention everywhere upon the most bigoted and awful ideas that exist in our society. They're organized. So there's no underestimating this threat. And for our community exposed as so many of us are in ways more than any other community, you're exposed to violence and backlash that is all too often a question of life and death. Although for many of us, transition is really just about being able to live our lives, that minimal demand of being able to live our lives. The existence of trans people seems a far larger threat from the standpoint of the far right. Gender and the importance of the binary stands at the center of right-wing ideology, and there's perhaps no community which more directly represents the undermining of that basic principle than ours. Why else do you think Nazis burn books about us? Burn our books. And it is, of course, to be trans women who in particular represent this threat. And I think every single one of us knows this in a way that is deeply intimate.
753.
What has happened? You've had momentum. You've got Kavanaugh nominated against the entire force of the Me Too movement. I guess the force of the feminists across this country have spoken out now for more than a year against sexual violence. Against all of that, they won the nomination and it galvanized them. What has happened? They decided to continue to attack and target the trans community as a way to consolidate their gains and continue their march. This is a central step for their strategy. What has happened? A white supremacist shot 2 black people at a grocery store in Kentucky last week. What has happened? An attempted bombing of major liberal political figures, including George Soros, the central target of anti-Semitic conspiracy. What has happened? The fascist Proud Boys have been beating up protesters and murdering young black men with little to no reprisal from the state. What has happened? An anti-Semitic shooting has taken place in Pittsburgh, murdering elders of that community. A community which, by the way, is marked by its support for refugees and immigrants and was targeted for that exact reason. The boldness to do something like that cannot be understated. It is a direct consequence of this offensive being taken by the right. And what else has happened? Brazil stands on the brink of a major confiscation, the stakes of which are a fascist society. The fascist, Jair Bolsonaro, has won elections, and the military firmly behind him has already begun to consolidate its power with their force, alongside the large movement of supporters. Today, comrades, protesters are being shot. Are being shot at for demanding justice and basic rights. So let me say to you with urgency, we must fight. We must fight. We must fight. We won't be kept in the shadows. We must fight to build the movement that will improve our lives with safety and security. We need a socialist movement to fight for health care, for jobs, for housing and education. We need a socialist movement that will fight for the demands of trans people, as well as for the demands needed by all people. In every struggle that we participate in, this is a truth, this is a maxim, this fight is a trans fight, and if it's not, it needs to be understood as such. And this goes quite a bit for our struggles in our unions. I myself am a union member, and I am today talking to all of my union siblings about how we can wage this fight ourselves, how we can take this up. All of us should be the same. But today, right now, I am struck by the need to build a movement that can fight to defend ourselves. With the growing right wing, we stand at profound risk. And to defend ourselves, we need to organize to marginalize fascism wherever it appears. I hope today gives us a chance to build for the future. Because right now, I am angry and there's so much we need to do. We need a left that will defend trans people. The fight for justice for trans people is one absolutely necessary for any emancipation from this shitty, violent society. But for that, we need a left that will fight to win. But for that, we need a left that will fight to win. I believe that we will. I believe that we will. I believe that we will win. 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 Thank you. Thank you. Everyone that was faded from the ISO, she wrote a brilliant, amazing article on their website about the different effects that this memo would have on the trans community and about what it was like to read that memo on Sunday morning. Our next speaker is from National Women's Liberation. Natalia? I apologize for not elevating myself. My feet are pretty weak from the march, you know. Anyway, my name is Natalia Spiegel, and I'm a transgender woman, and I'm a member of National Women's Liberation, which is a revolutionary feminist group here in New York City. Coming up on the 50th anniversary of the publication of the Red Stockings Manifesto, and the Red Stockings Manifesto stated very clearly that all women are members of the oppressed class, and all men are members of the oppressor class. I mention this because for 60 years of my life, I was a member of the oppressor class. I was a white, male, college-educated, middle-class, cisgendered male for 60 years of my life. And I enjoyed all the privileges that go with being a member of that class. I did not suffer because of racism. I did not suffer because of sexism. I was not affected by the male supremacist culture that we live in this country today. In 2014, after a period of reflection and readings and recollections over my life, I realized that I've been living a lie. The lie was that I was male. The truth was I was a woman. And I took the steps necessary to make myself fully a woman. I embraced the life of the oppressed class. I certain things began to happen immediately. I began subject to sexual harassment on the street. I discovered that women's clothes cost a lot more than men's clothes, you know. Dresses cost a lot more than blue jeans. And so my fashion changed. My fashion elevated, my income had to rise. I discovered that to get my name changed, I had to jump through hurdles set by a male judge, enforcing male justice in a male courtroom. I discovered that my insurance company refused to pay for my medications because they deemed that transitioning from male to female was, how do they put it, a non-covered medication. So I had to pay full cost for my medication. This is part of what transitioning from being male to female is about. I tried to get a birth certificate from the state of Virginia where I was born under my new gender and my new name. And the state of Virginia informed me that they have no provision for changing gender on their birth certificate, and I would just have to keep my old birth certificate. And when I went over to the post office on 8th Avenue one day to get a passport, and the woman said, "Are you male or female?" And I said, "I'm a woman." And she said, "What were you born as?" And I said, "I was born as a male." And she said, "Well, then you're a male." She antedated Trump by like 6 years. So now we have the Trump proposals, right? And Trump says, basically, he wants to erase trans people from all civil rights, all civil liberties in this country. And I thought about this, and I reflected on the fact that when this country was founded, it was founded as a government based on white, property owning men. Women were erased. Women had no rights. Black people after the Dred Scott decision had no rights at all. They were told, once a slave, always a slave. It sounds familiar, doesn't it? And trade unionists were told that if they tried to organize a union, they were guilty of criminal conspiracy. So there was a deliberate effort to erase oppressed people from history. When I went to college, we never heard about women's history. We never heard about trans history. We never heard about the history of people of color. History was written by white men, for white men, and that was it, you know? When Trump was running for president, he made a big show of appealing to the transgender community by hauling out Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner said, I think Donald Trump was good for our community. And now Caitlyn Jenner realizes that Trump was a nightmare for the trans community. She's beginning to realize, what all of us realized much earlier, that a man who wants to ban all Muslims from America, a man who wants to roll back civil rights laws, a man who wants to separate families by force at the border is not going to be a fighter for transgender rights. We have come to realize that trans people are oppressed, women are oppressed, black people are oppressed, and all working people in America are oppressed. And there's a commonality in our oppression. All of us need to be liberated. Now, according to Trump, there are two sexes only. There are men and there are women. And Trump says, once you're born a man, you're always a man. Once you're born a woman, you're always a woman. Just like they said one time, once you're a slave, you're always a slave. But we reject that. We say, no. When we made our transition, we ceased to be men. We became women. We ceased to be women. We became men. That's the essence of transition. So when we ask why trans people, why now? I think there's several reasons. Number one, Vice President Pence has told Trump that he has to do more to shore up his fundamentalist Christian base. And of course, he goes on the rampage against a particular target. Now, you can't target all black people because they're not to support Trump. You can't target all women because he already has a reputation of being misogynist, which he doesn't want to do. But trans people were an easy target for 1.4 million of us, and he can say, well, you know, they're freaks, and they have no civil rights. We don't recognize transgender, we don't recognize intersex. But the other reason I think is, and this is sort of a philosophical point I like to make, is because when you transition, it's a direct challenge to the system that exists as it is today. You're saying to the system, yes, I was born a man, but I've rejected my maleness, I've rejected my class, I've rejected my whiteness, for some of us, and I've embraced the life of the oppressed. And if you're a trans man, you do the same thing. You say, I have rejected the life that I was told to live, and I have embraced the life of another. Supposed to go to I think it's important to say that Trump and the Trumpites can pass all the laws that they want concerning trans people. They can say, we will not defend you in court, you have to use male bathrooms and risk being raped. You know, you have no civil rights. When you get a passport, you'll have to declare your sex as your biological sex. If you want to be part of one of the few remaining programs that empowers women, you will not be eligible because you are a man, etc., etc., etc.
Attention, Hollow passengers. That's the Northwest Link. First stop. This train will be stopped from track 108.
But I believe truly that Trump cannot change the course of history. We will persist, we will struggle, and we will win. And one day this will be remembered as a spasm of fascism in the dying days of male supremacy. Thank you very much. Thank you, Natalia. we must remember to cherish and honor our elders. Without our trans elders, we would not be here today. Thank you, Natalia. Our next speaker is Alexandra from Socialist Feminism. What up, comrades? So I'm here on behalf of the Democratic Socialists of America Socialist Feminist Group. And we're here because trans people are under attack by Trump. And we're here to celebrate the rich history of resistance and rebellion by trans people. But at the same time, we have to realize that this is bigger than just Trump. All around the world, trans people, along with all other oppressed groups, are in a war for survival against the far right. Yesterday, Brazil elected Bolsonaro, a neo-fascist who has openly described himself as nostalgic for military dictatorship, who has openly told his followers to beat queer people when you see them on the street. We see that in Poland and in Hungary and in Italy, the far right controls the government, and throughout the rest of Europe, they have mass movements. And here in America, the fascist movement is growing. 2 days ago, a Nazi killed 12 people in a synagogue. That same day, another white supremacist tried to shoot up a black church, but when he couldn't get in, shot 2 people in the supermarket. And right here in New York, we have a wannabe gang that calls itself the Proud Boys that roam around beating up leftists. This is a wannabe gang that has the full support of the pigs in the NYPD. We see that the right is now an existential threat to all oppressed people. And it is not a threat that's going to be solved by civil debate, and it's not going to be solved by voting. The only way we beat these people is by crushing them. People talk about the blue wave, about how all we need to do is just vote in the midterms in November. But what we can see by history is that the Democrats will not bring liberation. The same capitalist party that overwhelmingly supported Sesta Pasta, which criminalizes sex workers. The same party that separated immigrant children from their families way before Trump. The same party that sends imperialist bombs that kill queer people abroad. The only way we win this fight is in the streets and in our workplaces. Comrades in struggle, fighting because we realize that our liberation is bound up in each other's. There's a lot of talk going on about how to be a good ally to trans people. But respectfully, I don't want your pity as an ally. I want your action as a comrade of justice. I want to end with a quote about, this has been a really hard month for many of us. A lot of us feel despair. And I talked to a comrade this morning who reminded me that it's okay to feel despair, that it's okay to mourn, but as revolutionaries, we need to be fighting. I want to share with you all something Virginia, who's a trans woman in Brazil and communist organizer, wrote as a message to trans people in the U.S. So many of my trans friends in Brazil are scared right now. I imagine many of you are scared too. But as a revolutionary, I have to fight the immobility of fear. Bolsonaro wants us to bow our heads and hide the pride in ourselves and each other that we fought so hard for. I think of Stonewall, and I know that Marsha and Sylvia must have been scared too. But like them, I know the only way forward is to fight. And we are going to fight until we smash transphobia, until we smash the state, until we smash capitalism and burn. We got Ruby, an activist and high school organizer from the Bronx. Hi, everybody.
right here. This is not a moment, this is a movement. On top of that, I want y'all to be aware that as an activist and as someone who is cisgender, I have a lot of privilege. And I'm just as angry as many of you. But I also need to remind myself, and I ask many cis people, cis activists to remind themselves, do not attempt to be the face of everything. Okay, that's not the point of activism. That's not why I do what I do. I do what I do to open the door and hand over the mic. Not to be the face of everything. So make sure y'all remember that. This is not a moment. This is a movement.
Our next and last speaker is from International Women's Strike. We have Meg.
8:33.
All right, closing this out is a tall task that I did not desire, but I'm happy to be speaking with everyone today. I think a few of us who have been at vigils over the course of the last week have been reminded that it's really difficult if we don't feel empathy with those around us to understand why people are crying at moments of heightened fascism. But I was reminded the other day in Union Square at the vigil for Squirrel Hill, what I felt like after the Pulse massacre. And what it felt like to be around comrades who felt the same thing. It's really important to remember that though we don't share the same oppressions, we are in the same struggle together. And there's nothing anyone can do to take that away. I'm here from the International Women's Strike, and it has the word women in it. And I'm here to explain to you what that means to us. Feminism is something that is international for us. It's something that doesn't belong to women. It's in the hands of women and all types of women, including trans women. But it's all of us united together. It's united to fight environmental injustice that we see tearing down communities not at the center but at the periphery first. It's here to fight against capitalism that tears down people at the periphery first. And if you see people around you that are at the periphery, hold them tight because we need them now and we need them together. I think we're all here for a reason, and we would all agree that our trans comrades are here with us. They are women, they are men. And we're here to fight with them. But as a feminist organization, I'm sure, as just like any other socialization within us, there are people that aren't here, that have questions about who belongs to this movement. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about why your trans comrades are important here. If you want comrades and community members who are strong enough to throw bricks at police because they come at them more often, you need trans comrades. If you want comrades that are smart enough to figure out who they are at a young age and an old age by figuring out and going through the books that you see in front of you and trying to understand why what they feel inside doesn't mean what they've been taught in school. If you want that smart, if you want that research, you need trans comrades. If you want people who have the courage to go in front of people who they believe hate them and speak about who they are, if you want people who have the courage to be themselves in their workplaces at fear of getting fired, you need your trans comrades now. There's been a lot of talk about voting, and I don't think voting is the best way to fight fascism, but I'd like to talk about fascism for a second, because the only thing that defeats a historical contingent moment that is a part of capitalism is us rising up together in the streets with our feet, with our bricks, with strikes, with withholding our labor that we have as individuals who are workers. And that's something that we all need to do together with our trans brothers and sisters. It's not an option not to stand with trans brothers and sisters and center them in our movements right now. To know exactly what it means to feel what happened at Sugar Hill, to feel what happened in Florida and around the country. And this is not something that's going away. And it's because we're standing here together protecting our trans comrades, fighting police against with them. And that's something that we at International Women's Strike are doing on May 8th. Right? Coming out of our workplaces, coming out of our homes, and coming together in the streets to fight fascism, to fight capitalism, and to move forward together.
Before I close this out, we have two very brief announcements.
I'm not really supposed to be up here. I only know one person who helped organize this. But As scary as all of this is, and as scary as all of this violence is, it's important, I feel, to remind everyone that you are so incredibly loved. You are so loved by everyone here, and it's so important for you to know.
And now we have NYC Shut It Down.
Hi, I'm Sage from NYC Shut It Down. We are a police abolitionist group which has spent every single Monday for the past 3 years marching for and highlighting the stories of different black and brown people murdered by police. We'll be holding our weekly March, People's Monday, immediately after this closes out from this location for Kenny McFadden, who was a black trans woman murdered by a white man who police refused to investigate and convict. So I know we're all tired, but I encourage those who can to join us to uplift her life story.
Thank you, Sage. Trans lives matter.
Trans lives matter! 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 Black 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 trans lives matter!
I have a quote I want to share with you. None of us will be free until we have forged an economic system that meets the needs of every working person. As trans people, we will not be free until we fight for and win a society in which no class stands to benefit from fomenting hatred and prejudice. Where laws restricting sex and gender and human love would be unthinkable. Look for us, transgender warriors, in the leadership of the struggle to usher in the dawn of liberation. That's Leslie Feinberg, a dearly departed trans comrade. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We have shown the power of the people tonight. We are going to close with a chant to send our message to this anti-trans administration. The people, united, will never be defeated. 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 The people, united, we'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
All right, guys. I'm extremely tired. If you guys have followed me long enough, you know that every Monday there's a demonstration called People's Monday. The last speaker actually basically gave notice to the protesters that they're going to do a demo, which is People's Monday. I've covered People's Monday for about 4 or 5, actually I think 4 years. 4 years in total. People's Monday highlights members of black and brown communities who are killed by police. Some of those cases have not been resolved. Some of those cases are cold cases. Some of them cases just refuse to be touched at all. Thank you everybody who's shared the scope. I think I got one donation. I appreciate the donations. Thank you for the super hearts. We got a few super hearts. My arms are tired. But I do need to work on some of this footage. I think I'm going to go and follow People's Monday for maybe about 10, 15 more minutes because I am running out of battery, and then I'm going to close out. All right, so I'm going to try to hold up. It looks like People's Monday has actually already started. Yeah, People's Monday has actually started. So let me get back in here.
Trans woman living in San Antonio. She worked as a waitress. She loves to sing. Her friends described her as charismatic and lovable. Back to on April 7th, 2017, he was seen talking with a white man named Mark Daniel Lewis along River Walk. Witnesses and security footage show the two throughout the evening embracing multiple times. At 3. Later that night, Lewis approached a police officer to say he pushed someone into the river. The officer looked around the area. Lewis showed him, but did not see anyone. Did not investigate further. Fact 4. 2 days later, Nan's body was found in the river drowned. The investigation dragged, and when Lewis was charged with manslaughter for Bush gang, he was eventually acquitted. No one was convicted of any crime in the murder of Ken McFadden. State policies that discriminate against trans people and attempts to erase trans identities feed into the fears and hatred of people like Lewis and allow for violence against marginalized communities. This is not an isolated incident. This is not an isolated incident. Here in New York City, the police department, the murderous NYPD, the death squad NYPD, failed to properly investigate the murder of Islam Nettles. The murder of Islam Nettles. The NYPD failed to properly investigate the murder of Islam Nettles. Black lives matter. Trans lives matter. Now don't get mad when I tell you white people don't have no fucking business doing this on the chair. And don't remind us, don't copy us.
so for you guys who don't know, NYC Shut It Down is a police abolition organization. They fall under the Black Lives Matter coalition, or the movement for Black Lives. So they have someone who was killed by, I believe, a white man. I don't think this is a police killing, but there's a white man who killed a black trans woman, and let's see, I'm trying to get the name. I think Kenny McFadden. And the police refused to investigate the case, and so they're providing memory to that person by giving out the facts of the case and raising their name. As far as the chant, you guys heard the statement about the Assata chant. If you know who Assata Shakur is a Black Panther, or was a Black Panther. I think we can still consider her a Black Panther. And if you need to do your research, go do your research on Assata Shakur. But the chant they ended the rally with a chant that is known as the Assata Shakur chant. And so one of the members, who's part of the Black Lives Matter movement, didn't really like the fact that they used the chant to close out their saying, because many blacks feel like they're always erased, much like how the trans community feels like they're being erased. And so the Assata Shakur is one of the black leaders that people feel very, very, they protect her and they hold her in high regard. Assata Shakur is still in exile from the United States in Cuba. So you guys could do your research if you care. Let me see, I'm looking at the chants. All right, so I'm probably going to do about 10 more minutes of this, and then I'm going to leave out. Yeah. I'm about to do about 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to close out the scope. I appreciate everybody who checked out the scope, everybody who shared, everybody who donated. I know she is, I'm sorry she's not a good person. Hey, we're not debating whether people are good or not. We can debate all day. We don't really know a lot of people in their personal lives. You guys, everybody seems to like me in this chat, but you don't know what I do in my personal life. I could be a bad person, so until you truly know a person, you can't really make a judgment on it. I don't see anything really important in the chat, so I'm going to go back. You guys a few more minutes. taking a shortcut. I'm actually trying to get some tweets out while I'm broadcasting. Appreciate everybody who's just coming in. I was actually about to end the scope, and then we got a huge influx of new people jumped into the scope. So I'm going to try to hang on a little bit longer.
I was like, she was there for a while.
The investigation dragged. And though Lewis was charged with manslaughter. For pushing Kenny. He was eventually acquitted. No one was convicted of any crime. In the murder of Kenny McFadden. Backfire. State policies. Discriminate against trans people. And attempts to erase trans identities. Feeds into the fears and hatred of people like Lewis. And allow for violence against marginalized communities. But this is not an isolated incident. Right here in New York City. The NYPD. Killed over Giving a grand total. Of zero jail time. The NYPD. And all police forces. Murder black and brown people. Murder trans and queer people. With impunity. If you believe that this must end. If you believe that Kenny's life matters. That Black lives matter. That trans lives matter. Then raise your fist in solidarity.
That's the Black Power fist. Remember that. That fist is for Black Power.
Do not pretend to be our allies. We have given you too many chances. We're coming for all of you first.
That's it. I'm taking a 4 to the end.
Come with you.
What?
I'm gonna come with you. Come with you. All right, y'all. I'm gonna close out this scope.
Close the doors.
All right, everyone. I want to appreciate you guys supporting the scope, sharing, donating, everybody who shared. I appreciate the comments, good or bad, no matter how outrageous your comments were. Again, on political scopes, I tend not to moderate the chat. I want to thank everybody who supported. If you're not following me, do follow me. Follow me on Twitter as well. Leave comments, leave suggestions if you things that you would, if you want more information, if you want links to the organizations. I'm going to try to do my homework on the way home. After I get some of these clips out and post them to Twitter, I'm going to go and post some of the organizations, tag organizations so that they can see the live stream. So I appreciate each and last one of y'all. My mouth is dry. I don't have any water with me. My arm is tired. But yeah, today was a good scope. But yeah, peace and blessings. I love every one of y'all.